everyone, great to be here at Interact. I'm Sam Proulx. I am a completely blind screen reader user, and I have been involved with Fable for many years and involved with the accessibility industry for years longer than that. And today I'm going to talk about unlocking disability-led innovation. But before I dive into that, as the accessibility evangelist at Fable, let me tell you a little bit about who Fable is and what we do, so that you can really understand the direction that this talk is coming from. Fable helps you create true and lasting accessibility, whether you're building something new or remediating something existing. We do it by making it easy for you to hear the voices of people with disabilities on every part of your accessibility journey. It starts with Fable Upskill, custom video-based accessibility training that centers the experiences of assistive technology users. Fable Upskill makes it easy for everyone on your team to get the accessibility knowledge they need, no matter their role or current expertise. It continues with Fable Engage, allowing you to apply insights gained from the actual experiences of assistive technology users during every phase of your product development lifecycle. Quick turnaround times, flexible engagement types, and measurable results make it easy to create meaningful accessibility improvement. You can find out more about Fable and about what we do at makeitfable.com, or you can follow us on LinkedIn or Twitter. That said, let's dive into today's talk. I'm going to first be talking a little bit about rethinking accessibility. Then we're going to move on to the importance of distributing accessibility through your teams and why that matters so much. We're going to end off by some tips on beginning the user testing journey, and close with some conclusions and takeaways. Let's get right into it. Why is the first item in this talk rethinking accessibility? Because the ways that we think about accessibility and disability not only are a little bit inaccurate, but they're also very unhelpful. And when we change the way we think about what it means to be a person with a disability and who accessibility features are used for and used by, it'll really help us understand the direct connection between greater accessibility and greater innovation. Let's start off by dividing what it means to be a person with a disability in several categories. One category, of course, is permanent disability. That is what most people tend to think of when you think of people with disabilities and when you think of people who might use accessibility features. I was born blind, I've been blind all of my life, and it is very likely I will remain blind for the rest of my life. I use a screen reader. We also tend to think about folks with physical challenges like CP or MS or MD, or those with cognitive challenges that they have had and will continue to have all of their lives. And when I talk to people about accessibility, that's what you're generally thinking of. And that's certainly what people are thinking of when I get responses like, well, we're not really spending time or effort or brain power or bandwidth or budget on accessibility because we don't have any customers with disabilities. So we don't have any customers who are going to use these features. Which, first of all, 1 in 5 people in the world live with permanent disabilities. So the odds are pretty high that someone who's watching me right now is a person with a permanent disability. So we need to move away from thinking of these permanent disabilities as, something that's really rare or unusual. Odds are that you probably do have a user or a customer with a permanent disability right now. However, disability is more than just permanent disability. It's temporary disability. People with temporary disabilities are those who perhaps have broken an arm or a leg, or have been put on medication, whether for pain relief or any other reason, that may be affecting their cognition for a matter of weeks or months. If you have a health insurance plan, you probably have temporary disability. And yet, when we think about our product development work and our accessibility work, we don't think about the fact that you need to continue to use all of the products you know and love, even if you are experiencing a temporary disability right now. Temporary disability can even be lack of sleep affecting your cognition because of a lifestyle change. Maybe you've been privileged to welcome a new baby in your home, or maybe you're just stressed. And of course, then there's situational disability. You depend on the automatic door opener at the grocery store because your arms are full and you can't push the door open right now. You depend on the hands-free mode because you're driving and you can't look at or touch your phone. And then lastly, I say not to be a downer, but there is age-related disability. Odds are that even if you don't experience any kind of temporary disability in your life, you will experience situational disability, but we're also going to experience age-related disability. Our hand-eye coordination, our hearing, our sight, our cognition, our memory, all of these things aren't going to be, and maybe already aren't, what they were when we were 20 years old. And so you may not change your gender. You may not adopt a new ethnicity. But odds are that person with a disability is an identity that every single person listening to this call is going to adopt. And so when we think about building accessible products, we're thinking about products that will work for every situation that we find ourselves now, but also products that will work not just for our current selves, but for our future selves. And so when we think about that, it makes it clear to us that accessibility, in a very real way, is innovation. Voice recognition for the times when we can't touch our phone. GPS helps us get around, though it was first adopted by folks like me who are completely blind and couldn't read or use maps. Texting lets us communicate at times when we cannot hear and cannot speak, though it was first adopted by folks who are deaf. Siri and other home assistants let us start and stop our music, control our lights, our doors, and our thermostats at times when we can't pick up our phone and when we can't use our hands. Though for me, the first time I was able to control my own thermostat was when I adopted smart home technology. So accessibility features are innovative because they make things possible in ways that were never possible before for people with disabilities, but they also make things easier, better, and more fluid for everyone else. And of course, accessible products are better products. Because when curb cuts exist, whether we're pushing a stroller or pulling a suitcase, we can still cross the street. When captions exist, even if we're in bed and can't turn on the sound for fear of waking everyone else up, we can still enjoy the video. Electric toothbrushes were originally invented for people with disabilities who had physical problems that made it difficult for them to brush their teeth. However, when they were invented, it became clear that electric toothbrushes aren't just accessible toothbrushes, they're better toothbrushes. And so when we create accessible solutions, we're centering customizable solutions, better UX for all, and innovative solutions. And the only way to do that is to distribute accessibility through our entire team. There are myths that when we centralize accessibility, it'll somehow be better, that we need experts, subject matter experts, or teams of experts to do accessibility, and that the only way to do accessibility is to filter everything that we do through this one accessibility expert or accessibility team. However, when that happens, the team quickly becomes overwhelmed. That team can't have insight into every single thing that we do and every single decision that we make in all of our processes. In order to really make accessibility last, we need to integrate accessibility into all of the processes that we do, because many hands make light work. When our designers, programmers, content creators, researchers, managers, HR departments, and engineers are all thinking about accessibility, it means every single one of us learns a little bit and changes the way we do things a little bit. And that's where true accessibility comes from. Because failure to integrate accessibility into our entire team means we can't build accessible processes, which means that accessibility will never be integrated into the products that we create. And when we create processes, processes are iterative. And that means that we don't have to do accessibility once a year or as a single project. It means that we can do accessibility on an ongoing iterative basis. And so that means we don't have to do it all at once. We can start by thinking about screen magnification users. Then when we have the processes built out, we can reuse those processes to now include those with physical challenges. We can reuse the processes again to expand out to those of us like me who are using screen readers. And it's this journey of constant improvement and iteration that every market-leading organization that does accessibility is going through that unlocks innovation. That said, I'd love to keep that conversation going because accessibility isn't a one-off or a project. It's something that we need to be thinking about and integrating into the things we do now in order to make real change. So feel free to follow me on LinkedIn or shoot me an email. That said, it's been great to talk to all of you, and look forward to hearing from you and to helping all of you improve your accessibility and unlock the innovation that can only come through more accessible products.